Welcome back to another YouTube video. Time to talk about AEW. Jay White versus John Moxley. John Moxley won. That was the Continental Challenge Cup match. So if Mox loses, he loses the belt. So he's not losing the tournament until the semifinal, or no, sorry, the finals. Maybe, depending on who he fights. Nigel McGuinness beat Hechicero, even with Nigel McGuinness having a bad right leg, left leg. Which leg is it? I don't remember. Don Callis family, Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Rocky Romero versus Francesco Akira, Hanare, and Will Ospreay. United Empire Boys. They are up once again. They win. So there you go. United Empire wins. Then we got Kyle Fletcher and Kenosuke and Okada. Well, Okada and Kyle Fletcher had promos. Okada's like, as long as the title sits in the family, who cares? Kyle Fletcher's like, yeah, the title's going to stay in the family because it's going to stay on me. And then Kenosuke came out and attacked Kyle Fletcher. And there was that. But Ospreay and Kenny Omega sit down interview. Ospreay and Omega pretty much talking about their wrestling history. Um, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay had a match in PWG. I honestly don't even remember that. But yeah, they had a match in PWG. They had a match in New Japan. The New Japan match I remember. And then they had a match at Forbidden Door. What was 2 years ago? 3 years ago. And then Kenny Omega is talking about Kenny Omega. No, Ospreay says that all is well. Uh, Building a company on a broken back. The broken back of Tanahashi, but Kenny, COVID, and AEW, his New Japan were and his in New Japan were very different. Kenny drove 3 hours. Ospreay did 15-hour flights to stay in shoebox hotels and perform for people people in forced silence. And Kenny Omega could never handle that. He was fine playing to the roster at ringside. They were all they were talking about basically New Japan and all that wrestling history, yada yada. You know how it goes. If you know the history of Ospreay and Omega, you know what they were talking about. Anyway, Sheeta, Statlander, Maya, World, Persephone, fatal four-way for the TBS Championship. The champion retains. Maya World obviously retained. Oh yeah, Brawling Birds had a promo talking about the Divine Dominion, talking about how they want to beat them for the tag belts. Mox and Jay White's match I talked about already. That Mox won, and then a whole bunch of people came out. The Dogs, Brodito, Hangman, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy. Basically ended with Hangman saying the trio of champions are there. They're ready for a fight. So whoever wants to fight them at All In, step up and fight them. Willow Nightingale and Maya World agreed to fight each other for Willow's championship. What was that, on Saturday, I think? She talks about Mercedes because later she does a promo, and then her and Mercedes are doing a side by side promo. So she's like, "Oh yeah, Mercedes, I'm gonna beat you at All In." Mercedes basically saying the same thing, and then they have a brawl. Like they brawled backstage, pretty much. And then we got Andrade versus Jonathan Cruz. Jonathan Cruz loses in like two moves. And then MJF is cutting a promo on the Titantron, being like, "Why would I show up in Baltimore? I hate that place. The sun is glorious on Long Island." Like, all right. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll see you at Wembley, Andrade." So there you go. Nigel McGuinness and Ed Shero talked about that already. Swerve was like, "Did you say anyone could go for the trios belts? Anyone?" And so, further teasing that Swerve will have two partners, whether that's the New Day or whoever it is, right? Swerve will have partners, and he's going for those trios belts. Like, enough said. Yeah, Nigel McGuinness won that match with a guillotine choke, by the way. Darby, Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight's like, hey, Darby, come down to the ring. And then, a la, what was it? 2009, what happened to Jeff Hardy? The pyro blew up in his face. That is the exact same thing that happened to Darby Allin. Darby comes out. Kevin Knight says, come down to the ring. Pyro, bam, blows up in his face. A lot. Way more than what happened to Jeff. Way more. But yeah, Pyro blows up in his face, neck brace, stretcher job, all that. But it was great. I mean, crazy. Well, great. But whatever. Young Bucks and Omega, the Elite, versus Don Callis family, Jake Doyle, El Clone, Mark Davis. Elite wins. Don Callis family come out. They beat him up. Edge and Christian come out. Sorry, Cope and Christian. Cope makes a save for a little bit, and then Christian comes down to the ring to help. Gets super kicked by the Young Bucks by mistake. They all fall. They all brawl to the back, whatever. Ospreay comes out. He's like, so, Kenny, what'd you want to tell me? Basically calls security. Ospreay goes to leave. Then he comes back, beats up Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega put him through a table. All right. Now, where is this? Oh, is that the match card right there? Oh, yeah, here we go. Xia Brookside versus Elena Black. Talking about the TNA lockdown match card. I guess Xia Brookside will retain her belt, right? Probably. Hardy's versus the Nimitz. Hardy's will probably retain. Demon Bunny versus the Elegance brand. Rosemary and Allie. Rosemary and Allie will probably keep the belts. Moose versus Frankie Kazarian. Moose is going to win that. Jason Hodge. My bad. Jason Hodge versus Mustafa Ali. Is it Jason Hodge's first defense of his international belt? He's going to retain. Elijah versus AJ Francis. Elijah. Cedric Alexander versus Leon Slater. I feel like Leon Slater can get the belt back. Definitely. System versus Fabian Eichner. Yes, from WWE. Giovanni Vinci. Casey Navarro, Ricky Sosa, and Jada Stone. This is a ragtag team versus the well-oiled machine that is the System. I feel like the System's going to win this match. Same. Oh, yeah, that's all the matches. All right. Well, that's everything. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a everybody. See you guys later.